Welcome to the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker, a computer telecast where no legal advice is given and the lawyers are ghosts. Our only clients are topics of discussion and there is no justice for the wicked or pristine. Your fake lawyers are Matt and Greg, two men with no redeeming qualities and with opinions of no value. Listen at your own risk. And with no further ado, welcome your hosts, Matt and Greg. This is Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. On this day, we meet our new client favorite ethnic foods.
Well, I was thinking, first of all, this could be a very controversial topic because of the ethnicity involved.
Well, yes. We're not talking about like food riots, which would be a whole different thing, which is like a whole Animal House concept.
Food fights. And then the police will overreact and tear gas the food fighters. Use rubber bullets against them.
And what does Foo Fighters have to do with this involvement?
They're involved. You don't know, man. Wake up.
Wake up, man. Naive. All right, so what would you say is like your favorite ethnic food? And when I say ethnic food, I mean essentially any nationality, any ethnicity. I mean, you could even say American if that was your favorite. If American cheese is your favorite food, then go for it.
American? You said American.
American.
So I think it depends on the mood you're in. Like if you're in the mood for like, I just want to eat a ton of like gnarly food, like, you know, Italian.
Yeah, but don't you have a go-to, like one that you get more often than others? It's not like you're going out of your way to get food from Marrakesh, are you?
I do like Indian food a lot.
I didn't say Indian, I said Marrakesh.
Where's Marrakesh?
It's off behind you.
It's a restaurant?
It's a neighborhood near you.
What do they serve?
Marrakesh. It's right over there by the gas station.
Yeah, I don't know geography, Matt, that well. I failed. So wait,
Marrakesh is a country in another part of the world.
Marrakesh is a restaurant near my house?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, actually, it might be, but there might be a place called, might be a restaurant called Marrakesh that's near you, because there is one in Portland. But no, Marrakesh is actually a city in Morocco.
Okay. I've had Moroccan once. It was pretty good.
So that's basically what you're dealing with is Moroccan.
I like lots of ethnic foods.
You're not getting it every day.
Well, I rarely go out to eat because I'm poor and cheap.
Okay, so you're poor and cheap, so you're buying frozen foods, I'm guessing.
And I make food. Yeah, I make food for myself.
All right, so of the foods that you get for yourself that are not hamburgers and hot dogs or steak and eggs.
I just get pasta, rice, chicken.
All right, so vegetables. Pasta is not necessarily an American ethnic food.
It's Italian.
Okay.
Especially the way I make it.
So do you eat a lot of Italian?
Yes, because it's cheap, but it's not my preferred thing. If I had my druthers,
yes, you do.
I would eat sushi every day. So I guess Japanese is my favorite cuisine.
But specifically like sushi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, what is it about sushi that you find so enjoyable? I mean, you don't want the food cooked. You want the better chance at tapeworms. Is it because you like tapeworms raw, or do you prefer like a little wasabi on your tapeworms?
I have problems dieting, and if I could get a tapeworm, that would be so nice.
All subscribers, if you have tapeworms, please send them to Greg. P.O. Box 333, nice Portland, Oregon. Attention, Greg's tapeworms.
No, I appreciate sushi actually for the artful design and care taken into its preparation. No, that's not it. I'm kidding. It is pretty to look at. It's nice looking food, but I think I like it's really clean. Like it's just like I always feel good after eating sushi. Like Mexican food's the opposite. Mexican food's tasty, but usually makes me feel, oh God, I wish I didn't eat that.
So you're like the Trump of Mexican food.
I think we all are. Mexican food can lead to bad times.
I don't feel that way about Mexican food.
If you eat a lot of it, and I eat a lot of everything I eat. So I could eat a ton of sushi. When I go to the all-you-can-eat buffet, I like clean them out. I fuck up their profit margin every time I go. And I don't feel bad. It's like just nice, clean food. It's like basically protein, mainlining protein.
Well, yeah, the fish part of it is protein, but the rice part is not protein.
I get the sashimi as much as I can. Just the sashimi.
Well, sashimi is different from sushi.
Well, it's part of sushi. Nigiri is the thing you're thinking of with the rice with the little fish draped on top. That's called nigiri. Sashimi is just the raw fish. And then there's rolls, of course.
So what's the difference between sushi and sashimi?
Sashimi is a subset of sushi, of all the things that are sushi. And of course, I have never looked into this, but maybe sushi just means fish in Japanese. I don't know. That's their word for fish, maybe. Eating fish. Not the swimming fish, but the eating fish.
the eating fish.
Yeah, the kind you eat.
All right, so sashimi, because this is the beauty of the internet, is thinly sliced raw meat, usually fish, but doesn't have to be fish.
Oh, so
it can be
steak
raw
tartare.
meat, such as salmon or tuna that is served without rice. So you're correct, sashimi is without rice. Sushi is not raw fish, but rather vinegared rice that is mixed with other ingredients, which may or may not include raw fish.
You're right, because a California roll has no fish in it a lot of times. They have vegetarian ones, and that's still sushi.
All right, so nigiri is a specific, so that's the subset. Nigiri is a specific type of sushi consisting of a slice of raw fish over pressed vinegared rice.
Yeah, that little
So nigiri is the
rice.
fish over the rice, the vinegared rice. And
So
sashimi is just the fish or meat over daikon radish, often. A bed of it. Can you imagine sleeping on a bed of radish?
That would be comfortable, I bet.
I don't know. It seems like the liquids would get into your skin, and you probably get very itchy.
Or it might be good for your skin. And
Sleeping
like
on a bed of
moisture-
radish could be
like
good
a
for your skin.
moisturizer.
Radish.
It could be.
I have never heard of radish being used in moisturizing ingredients, and I think there's probably a
Could be.
reason for that because it tends to be a bit of a spicy food.
So an irritant. It might make
I
you...
would say, yeah, similar to this conversation, it would be a bit of an irritant. Especially,
concur.
we've already gone so completely off the rails.
Okay, let's get back on track. What is your
Once
favorite
again, we've
ethnic-
lost another client.
No, they're stuck with us.
That's right.
It's
right,
if
so-
anyone's listening, they're
So you answer the question. Your favorite food would be Japanese, but more specifically, sushi,
Yeah.
sashimi, nigiri, that entire branch of Japanese food. So not so much tempura in Japanese
not so
food,
much.
or
It's good.
teriyaki.
I wouldn't kick it out of my mouth, but it's
Okay.
good.
Well, you wouldn't kick it out of your bed of daikon radish,
No.
right?
So what's your favorite ethnic food?
Favorite, I think, would be French, but the most consumed would be Italian. But I do fall back on your basic American sandwiches as well, like ham and Swiss, ham and cheese. Listen, if you're going
Yeah.
to smoke on camera, you need to share it with everybody.
We're not on camera. This is going to be
There's no camera. This is an audio program.
Yeah.
What I meant to say was, if you're going to smoke while we're taping this, even though
Yeah.
we're not using actual tape, what would be a proper word for I guess just recording? So while we're recording this,
Yes.
you need to have enough for everybody.
Oh, I will. Just
Yeah,
send me a letter.
Make sure.
a
No, you're going to
cease.
have to go house to house
Okay.
and
I will.
give them all puffs off your cigarette. Or don't smoke while we're doing this, so that it doesn't sound like you're breathing weirdly into the.
But
All
I think
right.
most of my ethnic foods, favorite ones, are
Uh-huh.
based on which I was always kind of confused why some cuisines are buffet foods and some aren't. Indian food always buffet style.
Not always.
Almost every restaurant has a buffet though. It's a common thing.
I
But,
think
like,
it depends
want-
upon the style of Indian. The different
I-
Indian restaurants don't. Some Indian restaurants don't have that. Like if you go like a Punjabi Indian restaurant, they tend to not. They tend to go more barbecue based and not so much buffet.
Ah, well, I guess
but they're
whatever
more of
they eat.
northern India than southern India.
Yeah, most Indian restaurants I've gone to, I think, are that mainstream, what we think of as like Indian food, tandoori chicken, all the typical stuff you see at a
tandoori
buffet.
is more of a barbecue because that's like made in a clay
Yeah,
pot or clay
But every
kiln.
buffet I've gone to, they have tandoori chicken. They've got that creamy one, the creamy chicken, whatever that's called. I can't remember the name.
Creamy
And,
chicken.
Yeah, it's like
Is
this
that like milky
luscious.
chicken?
No, it's delicious. It's like a chicken stew, and it's like this creamy red, orangey red sauce. I can't think
Orangey.
of it. It's
An
like,
orangey red sauce with its creamy.
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. What
You've
would be
had it.
so? What would be a name for it? If you could come up with a name for that, what would it be?
Um,
If you could like give it a name, what do
uh,
you think you could? How creative can you get with this?
I'm not that creative.
I just call it Vanessa.
Yeah, okay, that'll work.
Yeah, and you go to the
I
Indian
wish I could
restaurant and
think of the
say, "Hey,
name,
can
but
I
then
get some
like,
Vanessa?" And they'll go, "What?
but you know what I can't find?
What?"
Only once in my life could I find that all you can eat Thai place. I love Thai food, and I want to eat all I can eat of it. But I've only found one in Tucson, Arizona. Never seen another one.
Uh huh.
So some restaurants, ethnicities like to have buffets more than others, and so I like Indian food a lot because I'm a buffet guy.
Yeah.
I want to get my money's worth,
Well, there
and
are lots of
then
pizza
some.
buffets.
Yeah, but those are terrible. Pizza in a buffet is always horrible. It's like just sitting there,
No, they
sorry.
make them fresh.
I know, but they're just bad pizza. It's never like good pizza
Not
you get at those.
always. They're not. I mean, they're not
Really?
like New York pizza, but they're
I've
not
just never
horrible.
gone to one. Like I went, what's the one on 52nd there?
Are you talking about
The
Izzy's?
chain.
Izzy's?
Oh, I've got to Izzy's, yeah, but I eat everything else there. I don't really eat the pizza.
Are you talking about
They have
Round
other good
Table?
food. Yeah, Round Table.
Yeah.
I used to go to that just because I was broke. It was
Well, their pizza's
terrible.
not horrible.
It was pretty bad
You
by
know,
my
I've had
standards.
worse from like boxes from the grocery store.
But you're not Italian. You don't know. You don't know any better.
No, that's correct. I'm not Italian. I just sound Italian on TV.
You're a honky. You're not a paisan.
Technically, I am a mixed race. So,
Yes.
yes.
When white met rice. You're very ethnic, Matt.
No, when white met Kugel.
Yes. I don't look ethnic at all. I can pass, as they say.
Yeah, you could easily die. You could pass. Like
We all
any
can.
second, any minute. They're all crooked. So, how many of your best friends have died?
I've been really lucky. My dad died just 5 years ago. I
You know,
was in my
those two
40s.
sentences put together did not sound well. You said, "I've been very lucky. My dad died."
No, that's the only person I was really close with who died. Like I had friends who used to be my friends, and then when I was a kid, and years later I found out they died. But I hadn't talked to them in 20 years
Uh,
or been their friend. But no one that close to me has ever died. That was like,
okay, so you
oh,
don't
this is
have any
someone I
kind of
hang out
tragedy.
with. Yeah, I've been very lucky until like when my dad died I was in my 40s. And that was the first time in my life I ever had that experience of like, I'm never going to see this person again. It
And
was
did you
horrible.
actually have feelings?
I did,
That's
surprisingly
shocking,
enough,
actually. Yes,
because I have no heart,
'cause
as you know.
you're a cold, cold man.
I have a frozen pea for a heart.
Frozen pea.
But yeah,
Not
it
even
was,
in a pod. It's just like some pea wormed its way into your body.
yes.
It's like it's the evil pea of death. And it, like somehow you sucked it into your nostrils one night while you were sleeping, and it found its way into your chest cavity and became your heart.
So
Somehow
have you ever had a
supplanting
friend
that
who,
that living organ. Can't say breathing because the heart doesn't breathe, but it pumps.
mine
Um,
does.
and that it
Have
was
you ever
replaced by an actual pea, which explains some things.
have you ever had a friend who died while eating ethnic food?
You know, I've had friends who've passed, but I don't know if they were eating anything at the time that it happened. I
Hmm.
tend to find out much later after the passing, so I don't get a lot of details. And I tend to be in different parts of the world when they die.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why that is. Oh, it reminds me, like someday we need to talk about the weird coincidences that have happened in my life, where I'm in the vicinity of international events of import, but I'm not really anywhere near it at the same time. But I happen to be in the area where it happens.
So you were like 5 blocks from Tiananmen Square. Tiananmen Square.
No, but I was in the same. I was in Washington. I lived in Washington State when Mount St. Helens happened. I was in the Philippines when Aquino was shot. I
But
was
you
in
were at a round
Ecuador when we
table.
had the Tuna Wars with Ecuador.
The
I was
Tuna
in
Wars.
Washington D.C. when the sniper was going around shooting people. There's a much longer list actually. Those are just
Were
ones
you
right off the top of my head.
were you involved with any of these?
No,
Is that
I
why you
wasn't
were
involved in
there?
any of them. It's just that I happened to be
Coincidence.
in like this, yeah, this weird
Huh.
coincidental thing,
Hmm.
and I just happened to, it's like I wasn't anywhere near Mount St. Helens. I lived up in Bremerton, and St. Helens is in southern Washington, so I
Yeah.
was like nowhere near there. But it was
Have
in
you
the
ever
same
been?
state.
Uh huh.
It's like when Aquino was shot in the Philippines. I wasn't in Manila. I was in this smaller town about 50 miles away. But I
Yeah.
happened to be in the country. It's like we were in Ecuador, and the Tuna Wars were obviously taking place off the shores, and we had to leave the country. This is back in like 1969, 70, something like that.
What are the Tuna Wars? Can we just stop, put a pin in that? I don't know what you're talking about. The Tuna Wars. Did
Well,
Charlie
I
the
don't
Tuna
have a lot
do
of the
something?
details in my head, but if I can get my mouse to work, I can find something that explains it a little bit better than me.
Well, who fought the war? Was it between us
Well,
and
it
them?
wasn't really a war per se.
A
It was
conflict?
essentially, all right. So here's an article in 1972
It was a police action.
from the U.S. It was a conflict between the U.S. and Ecuador over tuna fishing in Ecuador's territorial waters.
Did we
And
send battleships down there?
well, no, what happened was like my dad was in the U.S. Navy, and he was like an
Hmm.
attaché to the U.S. Embassy back then, and we essentially had like 72 hours to vacate the country.
Whoa.
And I was what 3 years old or something like that. Let me see if
So it
I
was
can find.
escalating to a possible war. It was getting to that scary point.
So just the first article of this New York Times article of November 27th, 1969. Is it 69? Yes, 71. 71, my mistake. It says the Navy was criticized here this week because the officers and men of a United States submarine were entertained for 3 days as the quote unquote goodwill guests of the Ecuadorian Navy at a time when the latter's gunboats were seizing American tuna boats off that country's coast. So the captain of the submarine said it was sort of an accident that the submarine Blackfin was visiting Guayaquil last weekend, while several American tuna sanders were under guard in the nearby port of Salinas after being seized 60 to 120 miles offshore. So my only point, so there it gives you a little bit of history
Yeah.
regarding the tuna wars back in the late 60s, and I guess my dad must have had some involvement in that since he was in the Navy, and they're talking about the Navy in this connection with the Ecuadorian or the American tuna boats are being seized by the Ecuadorians. So because of all that controversy, we had to get out of the country. And
Hmm.
anyway, so that's just one more thing that I happen to be kind of sort of near. Um,
I was
I
almost
found myself
thinking,
in odd locations in different parts of my life and never really noticed that. I started putting it together at one point. Like I've been kind of sort of near historical events through no fault of my own. they, they just happen to be in the general vicinity. Not necessarily close. It's like I was in Northern Virginia when Reagan was shot. Which isn't Washington D.C., but
oh
it's
yeah,
not being in a
no, it's
different part of the
close.
country either, right?
Yeah.
My dad was in the Pentagon when Oliver North went through the whole controversy with Abscam. Um, that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with it, but obviously I was nearby when that happened too. So,
So you say,
and if it was just stuff that was
allegedly.
like centralized in one locale, right? If it was just, um, if I had never moved anywhere, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But what happens is I'll move somewhere and something happens in that area. So like, here's one just from local here, a shooting at Clackamas Town Center. And I lived a few miles away from there. There happened to be one of those mass shootings at Clackamas Town Center.
Those happen
I had
everywhere,
nothing to
though.
do. What's that?
Those happen everywhere, every day.
Right,
Mass shootings
but
isn't even news
right, but
anymore.
that's not the point. The point isn't that they happen every day. The point is that all of these different events I happen to be kind of sort of near to.
You're like a lightning rod of
but
turmoil.
not really. It's like it's not really near me in like a
Yeah,
close vicinity. It's like within like 100 miles. You know,
you're
it's
really
like
bad
100. Yeah, that's it.
weather-wise.
It's like 100 mile radius, right? So it's like I'm like my own little nuclear warhead zone.
So I should move to at least 100 miles away
Well,
from
nothing
you.
happens to anybody who's near me, so you're all safe. You know, all the people who are close to me, nothing happens to them.
You're in a county that's not mine. Like you're not. So I'm in the perfect zone because your county's safe.
Well,
Nothing
you
ever
know,
happens that close to you.
here's another example. So I happen to be in L.A. during the L.A. riots, and now I'm in the Portland area with the Portland riots.
Did you do any looting
Even there's
when you were
riot.
there?
No, here's the funny thing: the L.A. riots, I didn't even know they were happening when they were happening. I was actually in personal quarantine because I'd been sick with something god awful for a couple of
Before it
days.
was cool. You were
Right, so I didn't
quarantined.
even know what was going on. And then I come out of it and I hear that like things are burning down and people were going out to help rebuild. And I'm like, rebuild what? What are you talking about? I'm like, there were riots. I'm like, riots about what? And they said that Rodney King. I'm like, oh, that. I'm like, that happened. Okay.
Okay, I
So I went
wasn't
up around
quarantined.
afterwards helping doing cleanup then like a couple of
Yeah.
days. But
I
yeah,
wasn't quarantined. I didn't know the Portland riots were happening 2 weeks ago. The fourth day, somebody
they're
said,
still
they're
happening,
rioting.
Greg.
Yeah, they're rioting downtown. I was like, what? I don't know. I didn't never go downtown. I'm a dummy. I don't
Yeah,
read
well,
the
I
news.
went downtown. I think like 3 days after the riots. But
Hmm.
actually, no, I didn't actually go downtown. I was kind of on the outskirts of downtown. So I saw protesters, but I didn't see. I decided to drive back through downtown during the day, and I saw some boarded up windows because more than likely they'd been rocks or bricks thrown through them, and
Yeah.
so people need to deal with that. But anyway, so yeah, but in terms of ethnic foods,
But wait, when you went downtown to
I
Portland, did
tell
you
you,
do
our
any looting?
clients never get their money's worth from us. They never do.
Well, they don't pay us shit
They
anyway.
want us. That's true. They don't really pay
They
anything,
suck.
right? So, yeah. But so, so staying on the topic of ethnic foods, even though you had a question.
No, I just
Well,
asked if you did any looting in Portland.
no, I've never done any looting.
You
That's
should
never
try it.
been.
It's fun.
I don't. I'm willing to give money back to the economy. I'm not really interested in harming somebody's livelihood. In the end, from my point of view, it's like it all affects us negatively, even though there's jackasses who are essentially looting our hard work at the top of the food chain. But still, you kind of want it to be a quid pro quo to some extent.
You're so
Where
vanilla.
I am Greg, I am, I am,
You
I'm
gotta
willing
walk on
to
the wild
accept that.
side sometime.
I
Gotta let the beast loose.
there isn't really a beast anymore. I don't really have that drive or that energy anymore
Yeah, I guess
that I
I
used
don't
to have.
either.
Although, with the recent, I've been getting into a lot of conversations on Facebook with people just regarding all the recent activities, and I'm starting to feel like a pilot light coming on from my old days when I worked in human rights issues,
Hmm.
and where I used to care more
Yeah,
about humanity. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I actually do care for people, and I want life to be good for people. And wow, I had forgotten about that.
I never knew that about you.
I
I never got
cared.
that sense from you at all. Yeah, interesting.
I know I'm
I've known
really
I've known you
just
for a while, and
probably the most sociopathic person you can possibly meet. All of those unsolved murders, there, I'll
yeah, the
take
Tuna
full ownership
Wars,
for them.
starting Tuna Wars,
I
and for
did not
God's sakes, when
start
when you were a little
those
boy,
at
even.
the age of 3. It was all me. I said, no mas, Ecuadorian government, no mas. We're taking our ships back. You won't stop us. If you don't like it, you're going to have to shave my head again because I got lice from your country.
Buying
We
a
had
gun.
we had an iguana that lived in our backyard.
Wow.
It actually like lived in the tree in our backyard. And that's I have these vague memories of that. But here are the memories of Ecuador. We our fence was cinder blocks that were,
Hmm.
I don't know how high they were, but whenever I was a kid they seemed really high. And on top of those cinder blocks were glued broken shards of glass. So that was the security for our house,
That
was a
works.
cinder block fence with broken shards of glass, and yet somehow an iguana can get in. So I don't know how effective those shards of glass are
No,
at
they're
keeping out.
light. That's easy for them, but a human, they'd cut themselves up.
Well,
That's a
maybe.
deterrent.
Or they could throw like a towel over it and not.
Iguanas are very nimble. You might not know this, but that's one of their main
Tell,
characteristics.
tell
They're
me some more
nimble.
about iguana. Have you ever eaten
They're
iguana?
no, have you? Did you eat that iguana for your backyard one day
No,
when
never.
you were
We
hungry?
did have someone steal our garden hose, but that's something different entirely. Um,
That's no biggie.
yeah. I used to tell people I'd eaten bat, but it was a lie.
Just to scare them into thinking you had COVID.
Well, okay, so on a different part of the world, I lived in the Philippines when I was in high school,
Oh, they
and
eat
there was
everything.
this, well, there was this program called JEST, JEST, which stood for Jungle Environmental Survival Training, and they would teach people how to survive in the jungle. And one time, and once a year, they would do a like a feast, a jungle feast for people to come and partake of. So you'd get bat and you'd get
Tiger.
snake. There's no tigers in the Philippines. They don't live
In the
there.
zoo, I bet there is in the
But there's
zoo.
monkey, so there'd be like monkey meat.
I couldn't eat a
Um,
monkey. They're too cute.
well, you don't notice that if you're just seeing strips of meat, because I remember
Yeah,
when we lived there, we'd often, when we went off the base, there would be people selling various different forms of protein, and you didn't really
yeah.
know what they were. They said they were beef. We figured they were monkey.
It was
But
Coco the gorilla and Curious George. All these cute monkeys and simians you ate. Dr. Zayas you were eating. It's
no,
hard.
we were eating Fred the Bastard. That's what we were eating.
Who's
Fred the
Fred the
Bastard monkey. All the monkeys with bad attitudes who were
Yeah,
like
there's
riding
a lot of bad
Harleys all
monkeys.
around town. Those
There's
monkeys
some
are the
bad
ones that
monkeys
had to
out there.
go. Yes.
Just don't eat Lancelot Link. He was my favorite.
Well, he couldn't because he was a secret chimp.
he was too. He got
He
away.
didn't actually
They
know
couldn't
he was
find
a
him.
chimp. He was a secret. One time, so I would tell people like after I came back to the states, I had bat. Actually, I never had bat. I wanted to, but I never really had the opportunity to try it. And in considering the nature of COVID-19, maybe it's probably for the best that I never did.
Yeah,
Um, maybe it came from bats, maybe it came from something else. I don't know. But point is that when I was in high school, I was part of the AV club, and I did a little project where I went to the Jest program, and I followed one of their guys around in the jungle. It was like me and another guy. I was holding the camera, and he was holding the battery pack because that was in the days of the giant VHS tapes, that were like
yeah.
2 inches wide. They were just the batteries lasted like 5 minutes, and you had to carry a bunch of them. So anyway, we went out into the jungle and walked around, and the natives are called Negritos in the Philippines. That's what they call themselves. So this is not an ethnic slur. They
Hmm.
happen to be shorter men who are very dark skinned, and they were the ones who generally paroled the perimeter of the base. And we would hear stories when I was in high school about how occasionally you'd find like heads of people on pikes, that perhaps were in places where they shouldn't be.
Really?
There's stories. I never had any proof of this, any
You never
evidence.
saw one.
No,
The
no, I
head on
never
a
did.
pike.
No, the only thing I know that happened while I was at school was a cobra wound up on our soccer field once, and one of the bus drivers was like driving all over the field trying to run it over. So that was like
The
the
best
most.
way to kill a cobra. Run it over with a bus.
It might be. It might be the best way because I don't know if you want to get near it to try and catch it.
Yeah, I guess if you don't have a steamroller, a bus is the second best thing.
Right. It's if you don't have a steamroller, a bus. Exactly. I don't know if the steamroller would work quite as fast as a bus. They
But
take a little while
it
to get
covers
moving.
more ground, though.
They certainly flattens more ground.
Are cobras fast? Can they truck along there,
I
wiggling
have
around?
no idea, Greg.
Well, you saw one.
Let's.
You
I
on
didn't
the
see it. I
screen?
didn't see the cobra.
Oh,
I
okay.
just knew that it happened. Um, But again, that is the beauty of the internet, is we can find out the land speed
Miles per hour.
of a
What's the
cobra.
gas mileage of a Cobra while you're there?
Not a cobra jet. It's like, oh, 201 miles per hour. That's a fast cobra.
Holy shit.
All right, so cobras are actually regarded as the fastest snake in the world.
Mm,
It can move. So if you've seen all those other snakes move, it
yeah.
moves faster. It can move at 17.6 feet per second and reach speeds of 12 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
So it could chase your bike down.
I know.
Trying to get away on a bike, you got a cobra chasing you.
I
That's why he
definitely
was
could
in a
outrun.
bus.
Yeah,
Because he could have outrun, the cobra could have outran the steamroller.
you're right.
So yeah, bus is better. Bus is better for
Okay.
cobra killing. And then I used to also pretend that I have eaten snake too, but I never had snake.
You never did.
I don't know why I lied about these things. I don't know who I was trying to impress back when.
Teenage boys do that, make up random lies.
No, it's just a sad thing though. Because then
Yeah.
you like hold on to them and you keep saying they're true because you have to make the earlier lies
Oh,
accurate.
yeah. Yeah,
And at
you
some
can.
point, this may be the only time that I've actually admitted to never having eaten bat.
Really? It's a
Maybe.
scoop
That's
right
right.
here. It's an
Exclusive.
exclusive.
Exclusive to the law offices or whatever the hell we're calling ourselves.
Nibble, bibble, and
Quib-
Bob.
Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Yeah, it'll probably take us like 10 episodes before I can say that name
And
fluently.
I wonder as we do this, should we keep all of this in to what we're talking about? You know, even the discussion of keeping things in, should we keep that in? Let
If it's
anybody
funny.
care? I don't know if it's funny. I think it's part of the whole bickering part, though. Certainly,
Yeah.
there is a bit of quibbling because it's details. It's minor details. So it's where the quibble comes in.
But I do
Squabble
want to
would
cut
be
this out.
me arguing with you about picking your nose on camera,
I
even though
just see
nobody
what
can
I
hear
just
you
like
do
that.
that.
I
That's
like
the thing
that.
is, should we get like a Foley stage so for those times when you do pick your nose, we can get other people to hear the sound of you picking your nose in more
Sure.
detail. If
People,
that's,
that's what podcast listeners have been yammering for,
it was like,
waiting
I
for.
want more nose picking in my podcast,
I
please.
can hear them. I like to watch nose picking. Now
Now,
I want to hear it.
if only I could have taste-o-vision.
I can taste the saltiness of the boogers. Okay, here's a question. Did
Now,
you
how
do
do you
eat your
know that
boogers?
boogers are salty, Greg?
I was just going to ask you. Did you never ate your boogers when you were a kid?
If I ever did, I will not admit it. I'll eat bat, though.
Yeah, you'll make up stories about you bad, but you won't admit. Oh, I ate my boogers totally. The saltiness, I was just like,
They
I
were
couldn't stop.
they were the only food I ate for a long time.
My parents were very negligent, so I lived off boogers and school paste,
Earwax.
earwax.
On
Yes.
another tangent, I used to have this teacher in junior high who would give us extra credit if we could come up with. You could mute yourself if you're coughing, for crying out loud.
I could have, but I thought it would sound weird.
I don't know if that's something that we should keep in whenever we're like
Let's
putting a
not.
program together. Is you coughing into somebody's ear?
Okay, and roll. You were telling a story about your teacher. Continue. Start over.
You're useless as a listener. You are. You're just totally useless.
I had a cough. I'm a human being. Okay,
Are you? You're
tell me
not
a
an
story about
animal?
tell me a story of a teacher you once had.
Matt, could you tell me a story of your school days?
I love your old
What is that
tales.
story you're trying to tell me?
We
It
used
just
to roll
ties
a hoop
into the
around with
earwax
a
thing, and that is all. It's a very short story. So, this was an English teacher who would give us extra credit if we could come up with words that she didn't know. It'd be like at the end of a class, she
Yeah.
would open the door up to, because she knew like 5 languages, so she could usually figure words out based upon their derivations. And so I would get disheartened because I thought I was this intelligent kid. This is like 8th grade, I think. And I couldn't come up with a word to stumper. And I finally got one to stumper, and the word was cerumen. And that's the only reason why I would continue remembering this word is because I was able to stump her. And most people don't know what that word means. And I may even be
I don't.
pronouncing it wrong. It's Cerumen, if I remember correctly in the spelling.
Is that the bad guy in Lord of the Rings?
Yes, yes,
Sarman?
yes. It's and this is why you'll appreciate what the actual word means. It means earwax. It's like the actual term for earwax. So, yes, that is the name of the White Wizard in Lord of the Rings. His real name is Earwax. And people didn't know this. And I'm hoping that if somebody hears this podcast, that they believe this and they go around telling people that the actual name of the White Wizard in Lord of the Rings means earwax, so that this gets some traction.
And
That's
by the way, I didn't want to interrupt your tale, but in
yes.
Spanish, I know a little
It
Spanish.
wasn't just a
You,
tale; it was a story,
you know what negritos means? Literally,
like Little Black.
little black ones,
Right. That's
which
why
doesn't
they
sound
call
good
them
in
negritos
translation.
in the
I
Philippines.
know,
Right. There
but
was also a beer in the Philippines called Cerveza Negra.
yeah, well, negro means black,
Yeah, black beer.
but
Cerveza
calling
means
people
beer.
negritas is
Negrito.
a little odd.
Well, you'd have to see them.
No, I believe you that there were little people who were
Yeah, I don't know
darkly
who came up
hued.
with the term. I don't know if that was something they came up with or the Spanish, because the Spanish had conquered the Philippines
Yeah, no, that's a
before
Spanish
the
word. That's a
Japanese
total.
did. Right, right. And so let's see, because that word is used in Peru. Let's see,
Yeah,
derivation.
Spain. Once again,
Let's see,
Spain.
where's Negrito? Negrito and allied types in the Philippines. So they're like considered an ethnic group. Um, who are the Philippine Negritos? Yeah, there's a number of different things about it. Anyway, that's not something we need to get into too much. I remember the
I
old
find it weird.
ladies
Oh,
who were the natives would eat these things called betel nut.
oh, that's
Um,
like a drug, right?
spee. I can't speak. I meant spelled betel nut. And they would
Yeah,
eat so much of their teeth would like turn black from eating it.
I think that gives you a high.
I
It's
think
like
it does too, if I remember correctly. But I think some of them came to our school once and did some kind of a demonstration, and it was just an odd thing.
I have a
Apparently,
friend
its
who,
actual name is it's the areca nut. The betel nut is a seed of the areca nut.
and you chew on it, and you can stay up all night drinking. I have this friend who's her people come from this tiny South Pacific island called Yap,
Okay.
and in Yap, all the old people there, they have these 3 day parties where they basically just get fucking loaded for 3 days, wake up, start again, and they do it by I think it's betel nut. They chew there too, so they chew that it's a stimulant. So it's almost like when you take Adderall to go out drinking, which I
Yeah.
know you've done, Matt. No, I know you haven't. But me and
I
my friends
snort
used to
it.
do
I
that.
mean, I'm all about the Adderall. I crunch it up, and then I put it in pecan pie, and then I eat it.
Oh, that's good shit. Me and my
Yeah,
friends, though, would specifically take our friends Adderall
and I go drinking.
just so we could go drinking and drink more and not pass out and
I
have more
thought that was
fun.
choline. You're supposed to. No, choline's the opposite.
I'm sure there's lots of.
Choline you're supposed to take and get the effects of substances like 100 times faster.
Oh, I don't know if it made it faster, but it made you just so you wouldn't be all loogie after drinking. You'd actually just be more still awake, ready to
Loogie?
drink more.
What do you mean
Like
loogie?
cocaine loogie. Kind of like sometimes you drink and you're just like, "Blah, I'm drunk."
See, I think of loogie as the thing that you hawk up and spit.
That's another. It's just another use of the word,
Is it?
but cocaine, that's a common thing. People do coke and they go out
Uh,
drinking. I mean, it makes drinking better
okay.
and smoking.
I
It
had
really
not heard
makes
these
cigarettes
things.
amazing if you're a smoker. If you gave me cocaine and I had no liquor or cigarettes, I wouldn't want to do the coke. I'd be like, no, that would be torture.
Apparently, betel nut chewing is banned in many places
Yeah, it's
because
a
of the.
drug.
Well, no, because of the spitting. Because of the mess people make. It's like, I guess, in the old
Ah,
days of chewing tobacco. They're just out
yeah, that makes
spitting the
sense.
juice out everywhere.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of things regarding it being addictive. It's increased developing a range of diseases, including mouth cancer and esophageal cancer. And it's been linked to oral submucosal fibrosis, which,
Oh,
of
that's the
course,
worst. I had
is
that.
the most fun one can have. Um, yeah, but I'm not seeing Drug-like effect.
Do you know in Portland where we could score some of this beetle nut? Can you talk to your guy?
My
I'd like
guy,
to try it.
my beetle nut guy,
The guy gives you the Adderall.
he's at the Pioneer Chicken stand. Go talk to him. He's hanging
In
out
the
there.
alley.
That's right.
Hanging
There,
out
behind
near
the
the
Pioneer
dumpster.
Chicken stand. That's my beetle nut dealer. You go talk to him. He'll get you all the beetle nuts you want. You can get
Pure.
you can get your stink bug beetle nut. You can get your Japanese beetle nut. You can get all sorts of cockroach beetle nut. All of it. All the beetle nut you could ever ask for. Go find that
Iguana
guy
beetle nuts.
behind the Pioneer Chicken Shack here in the alley. While you're there, get yourself also like a tongue taco. While you're there, a beef tongue taco. It
That's
goes
not bad.
well with, I don't know, I've turned into freaking Norm Macdonald. I don't know why that has happened.
Yeah, wait, I've never heard you do that voice. That's a new one for you.
I'm saying I somehow became the Norm Macdonald voice all of a sudden. I don't know why.
Well, I'm gonna start talking like Gilbert Gottfried then. Fine.
Let's hear you do it. I want it. Talk
I'm
about
so
ethnic
bad.
food
Oh,
as
yeah.
we keep ignoring our client. Although we've
Okay.
kind of gone in and out dealing with it.
Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried. I like eating sushi. See, I'm terrible. I just wanted to do that to give you an example. This is an example of how bad I am.
Uh-huh.
And I can't like imitate.
You
I
don't
have
like
no
holding
ear.
that microphone up to your mouth, do you?
No, I like to have my hands free.
I know.
Is it
it's
really
just-
that bad though? Does it sound that
there's
bad?
a significant difference whenever you
Okay,
move it
I'll
away
do it.
from you. Yeah.
I'll be good.
Yeah, otherwise we'll have to do something different to make this work.
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
Because otherwise you're going to ruin the sound quality for people and they'll hate you. And they'll go, what the hell? You guys are so damn cheap. You won't get legitimate microphones. You won't be in the same room when you're talking to each other.
You don't even have law offices.
Right, you're not even
no
real
secretary.
lawyers.
Yeah.
And
You never got your law degrees. You
you're
didn't even have the
charging
money
us
to go to
far
law
too
school.
much money to listen to you. And we
Well,
expect
once-
better.
Once those ads for manscaping and Viagra gum, Blue Chew come in, we'll be
Wait, wait,
bothering them with
Wait,
wasting
you said
their time.
you said manscaping, Viagra gum, and what was the third one?
I don't know if I had a third one, but I noticed I listen to a lot of podcasts, and all the ads are for these bizarre products that are like obviously for dudes. Okay, yeah. It seems like all the ads are for these things I never heard of, like manscaping, special grooming tools for your junk, and like to get your balls nice and smooth without nicks or cuts. Or there's a gum that has Viagra in it.
So I'm
Well,
sorry.
holding
So
the
you're
mic
talking about
now.
these weird ads for podcasts.
Yeah, I
About
watch a lot of
Viagra gum.
podcasts. Yeah, and Manscaped grooming tools for your junk to make your balls smooth. All kinds of things I've never heard of anywhere else.
I don't want to make my balls smooth. I want them to no longer smell ever again.
They have that too. They have fragrances and deodorants for your balls.
Nah, I don't want deodorances or fragrances. I want it eliminated. I don't want it
like-
masked.
Like have an operation where you take the stink sack out of your balls,
I don't know that there's
like
A
a stink
sack?
bug has.
is
It
there
was
a
a defense thing.
is there a
Like,
sack?
I mean, I studied biology in early man to protect. Their
Maybe my
balls.
wife implanted it while I was sleeping a
Yeah.
few years back. Because before I got married, I don't remember that happening. But afterwards, it's like, now there's a thing.
But it's an evolutionary thing, like to protect our balls from predators. We had these stink sacks in them because we didn't want predators, going up and biting our balls when they're
Right, we're
we didn't
okay with
have
them
pants.
taking out our kneecaps or our nipples, though.
Well, balls are. I'd rather have that, yes, than my balls. My balls are very precious to me. That's why they call them the family jewels. They're our treasure. So the predators stay away because they stink.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to bite that. I'm going to
I
bite his
don't.
kneecap.
I think, or they think that it makes them taste better.
It could be like some weird delicacy.
I think
to
it
them, to
depends
animals.
upon. Well, it's like blue cheese, right?
Oh, I love that shit. Yeah, I get it.
So some people can't handle the smell of the stronger cheeses, but others it's this addiction.
Mhm.
What
We're
are you
like
doing to yourself?
bookbinding.
You're making so many weird noises. What the hell are you doing?
Well, my earbud keeps popping out because I'm trying to hold my mic.
No, you're
I mean,
making
I'll get a-
squeaky noises. Are you like drinking something or?
Not now. Squeaky. I don't squeak when I drink. First of all.
There was some
Oh, I have to take
noise.
a drink. Squeak, squeak, squeak.
I don't think that you're like deliberately making a squeak
Squeaky
sound
drinker.
effect.
Yeah, I have a drinking problem. I squeak while I drink.
I,
That's my
su-
first
I
AA
suddenly
meeting
turn into a
speech.
mouse. I have
Whenever
this
I
issue
drink.
where I must make different animal noises when I consume substances. So when I drink Coca-Cola, I have to sound like a raccoon. But if I'm drinking Sprite, I'm actually a hammerhead shark. And if I'm having water, then I'm a mouse. If it's iced tea, the grizzly bear. And if it's black coffee, I am actually an ostrich. But if I have a cappuccino, I go straight kiwi. So
Yes, you know me so well.
so the squeaking is just what are you drinking currently, Greg?
Bourbon and Coke.
Okay, well there it is. That's
Yeah,
bourbon and coke. You do mouse sounds.
yeah. When I have sake, I sound like a giraffe. Do
Giraffe.
they make sounds? What does a
I
giraffe
think if you
sound like?
step on their foot or if you steal their books, they'll say something.
Will they? They'll say something.
Yes.
Ouch! You bastard! They won't say something. I said, what? Did giraffes even make any noise? Like if you stab one, will it go eek? Oh! I never heard a giraffe vocalize.
Uh huh.
Well,
Well,
look that up. Find a YouTube video for me. Just kidding.
when you have giraffes screaming somewhere,
You'll find out it's this huge thing on YouTube. Oh, it's almost they go viral.
when I was chased by my former stepbrother and he was 15 and I was 3, I made the sounds of a giraffe screaming.
God, you're really getting into therapy here. I'm sorry, Matt. That
I,
sounds traumatic.
I didn't have a stepbrother. All right, so in case you wanted to know, giraffes do have a larynx, voice box, but they couldn't produce sufficient airflow through their 13-foot long trachea to vibrate their vocal folds and make noises. So researchers suspect the reason no one has heard giraffe communication is because the sound frequency was too low for humans to hear. So essentially, if we could hear
Ah.
giraffes, they would all sound like Barry White. Hey there.
Oh, first, the last.
First giraffe and everything.
That's a good one.
I
like
don't
that
know
song.
if I don't know if the joke was a good one.
No, but just Barry White is a good one.
Ah, all right. So how do we feel about our first episode here? Is our client satisfied? It started with what are your favorite ethnic foods, and now we're talking about giraffes singing like Barry White.
And having vestigial, how do you say that word? Larynxes. Vestigial?
That would be the word, but they have larynxes. They do. They just can't get enough airflow through their trachea to vibrate the vocal folds to make noise.
So then why do they have them? That's vestigial.
I think I don't know if they're vestigial. Vestigial. Why do you keep making
None of
me
us know how to say it.
pronounce the word that you're having trouble mispronouncing? Actually, you're having no trouble
Either, and I want to
mispronouncing it.
prove that it's a hard word to say.
Vestigial
Is that the proper way?
instead of
Vestigial.
pharyngeal or laryngeal. It's not vestigial since they still have it, and there's some use for it if they could talk, at a low frequency. We don't know. We would have to record. I guess we would have to get recordings around giraffes that could take low frequencies.
I'm sure we have that technology, and some scientist has tried it.
Well, maybe, or maybe they just couldn't get the funding.
Well, they get funding for everything, like the size of duck penises and all kinds of random stuff.
That's a different ethnic food.
Delicious.
There was an episode of Bizarre Foods that I saw a number of years ago. That was a whole. It was I think it was in China or Vietnam. He went to a restaurant where all they served were penises of different animals.
What? And do they all taste different?
I guess
That's,
I didn't taste them. I could not say.
I
I would
would try
imagine. I would
everyone.
imagine. I would imagine they would taste different because they're different animals. It's like the difference between pork
You're
and
right.
beef and
Yeah,
chicken. There would be some, and depending upon what seasoning was used, you know.
I would like a buffet of that, so I could all you could eat style, so I could gobble as much cock as I want. It's always been a dream of mine for just a low price.
You just want to put a penis in your mouth from every different species.
Lots of them, yeah, for one low price, and just get it out of the way. I don't want to go to lots of different animals and pay them to gobble their cock. That's a lot of money.
Normally, it's just a rooster that you would deal with cocks and gobbling, or a turkey.
Yeah, I like how you try to make it clean. Good work there, Matt. Nice try.
I do what I can.
Greg was talking about roosters
and turkeys.
Yeah, I've never had I guess the weirdest thing I ever had was alligator, but it was deep fried, so it might as well have been a chicken nugget.
They serve those. They serve those at Montage in Portland.
Yeah. It's a very southern thing.
They have gator bites.
They don't taste any different than a chicken nugget.
And they taste. They're a little greasier, but it could just be the way they fried them. That could have been it too.
Yeah, I didn't notice any difference.
I know that I've tried ostrich and I've tried bison. In terms of unusual foods that I've had,
yeah,
I know I was always willing to try things, but I just never had really unusual things put in front of me. I have had Rocky Mountain oysters.
So you gobbled some balls
Turkey.
At one point.
Literally, they were turkey testicles. Yes.
Really? I always thought they were cow. I thought that was
Rocky
Mountain.
I'm sorry. Wait. Maybe I'm thinking Smoky Mountain oysters. Rocky Mountain are bulls. Smoky Mountain are turkey. So Smoky Mountain oysters is what I had. And they taste kind of like liver, to be honest.
I could picture that for some reason.
You could picture a taste?
I could that was a bad word. What was a better word? I can taste the sound of purple, man.
I can hear that smell all the way inside my sphincter.
Are you on LSD right now?
I had a sphincter smell the other day that was just like roses and termites. I don't know why those together.
You are having a bad trip, my friend.
I'm currently having one right now.
Drink some orange juice.
I never thought there would become a day where the words sphincter and termite would be in the same sentence.
Ever.
But I never decided to look into that particular combination until just now when that combination was created.
Termites probably do have sphincters, very tiny little sphincters.
What, you're saying there wouldn't be like gigantic ones?
That would be horrible for them. A gaping anus.
It's like a termite had a sphincter like that was the size of like a boot.
I heard in some places they actually take the little sphincter ring from cows and they serve it up as calamari because it looks just like it. And think about it, a sphincter ring from a cow.
Yes.
Can you picture it? Do
I have to?
Beautiful vision I'm giving you?
Do I have to?
It looks like a calamari if you eat
Thank
calamari.
you. Is that for the listeners as well? Hello, listeners. What we would like you to envision right now. Imagine the back end of a cow. Imagine the tail swinging back and forth. You see the haunches directly in front of you. How close are they, Greg? How close are they to the back end of this cow? 5 feet? 10 feet? 100 feet?
No, your nose is right up there. And you take a knife. Now take a knife and cut its sphincter off.
All right, but first the tail has to be moved out of the way.
Of course it does.
Okay, good.
That goes without saying. Well, you can cut the tail off because that's good soup.
Oh yeah, it's an ox.
Yeah, and then
otherwise,
imagine cutting the sphincter ring off. It looks just like a calamari, and it could taste as good.
Raw? Would you eat it raw, Greg?
I don't think. No, that's a bad idea.
Would it be?
That's sushi, technically, right? You said that any meat that is uncooked.
Yes, that is what we have learned today. We've learned today that if you eat the sphincter ring of a cow fresh, you're getting sushi.
You like sushi.
What's sashimi? If it's sushi, you'd have vinegared rice with it. But
yes. Anyway,
all right. Well, that's good. I think this is a good place to end off for the show.
But I have so much more to ramble about.
Yes, you do. And that's why we're doing more than one podcast.
Unfortunately.
Or, sorry, we cannot call this a podcast ever, because every time I think of it, I think of, what's that movie? Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I think that every time someone does one of these particular recordings, they turn into one of those things and, point their finger at you and go, ah! I don't know if you've
But
ever...
that's what we want. We want our listeners to be mindless drones who keep listening and listen to the ads we eventually might get and buy their products.
I'm going to go hit the boilerplate right now, but because there is one, and it's been created for this purpose. So, but I think this is a good time to end. We will reintroduce our client to everyone. Our client, of course, today was favorite ethnic foods. I don't believe the last thing we talked about was anyone's favorite ethnic food, but you never know. There might be somebody out there who it is. But
can I just end with one thing real quick before you do the boilerplate?
Sure.
I've been trying out new ways to end the show, like something I could say.
Yes.
So I'm going to try today.
You want a catchphrase?
Yeah. Courage. That's how I'm going to end every podcast. And then you go into the final.
But there'll come a point where that'll just sound useless. Actually, it's already started. That particular statement.
Courage.
Useless.
Just mull it over
Courage.
your head like a fine wine. A fine mulled
wine. I only need some courage. If I could get some courage, I'd be a proper lion. I can control the forest.
Let's have a singing portion.
If I only had a heart. If I only had a brain.
If only had some noive.
Could come up with a different adjective or noun besides courage, it might work.
Okay, I'll try a new one next week.
Was this like a command? Yeah, maybe that's what you do. You just pick a different word to end the show with.
Yeah.
Showy.
Beetle nut.
Lip syncing. Doggerel.
Schenectady.
Anyway, so our client really needs to get us on retainer because we've used up a lot of time and it owes us a lot of money.
Sorry, Ethnic Foods.
Yes.
We've ruined you.
We want to thank you all for listening. And when we say all, we mean specifically McTavish, our only listener. McTavish, get some frickin' friends. I hate that guy. This has been the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker Computer Telecast, where any advice has been designed purely for amusement and deep-sea diving. Please take a candy on your way out, pet the lion tamer, and subscribe to this computer telecast if you know it's good for you. The law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker deny all culpability in today's events and are not to be confused with real law offices that have a secretary and books and stuff. Thank you all. Have a good day.